Hello there and welcome to TLDR. Today we have a very special episode for you where we're going to be talking to the solo developer and creator of the Falconeer, Tomas Sala. If you like all the amazing content we make here on Wired's channel, then don't forget to subscribe. And if you like this video, then give it a thumbs up. It really helps us to know that you like what we're making. But without further ado, we need to jump into this interview and let me introduce you to Tomas Sala. Hello everyone and welcome to TLDR. Today I am joined by Tomas Sala, who's actually on my left, but I'm pointing in the wrong direction. Hello, how are you today?
I'm good.
You're good? You're good? We're here today to talk about the Falconeer Warrior Edition and give a rundown of everything to do with the Falconeer. Tell us a little bit about the Falconeer. What's your TLDR rundown of it? I'd love to hear that.
So many things. Air combat, open world, fantasy game, artsy, personal narrative, all thrown together. Stir, watery game.
That's pretty much it. Like, it is a lot of genres sort of merged into one, right? Like, we've got the RPG aspects of it, but it's also the dogfighting combat aspect of it. There's a lot to it.
Yeah, it's everything I like just mashed together.
I mean, that sounds perfect as a game developer, just to make exactly what you want to make. I'm sure that's...
It can be a recipe for disaster. I'm certainly some people will think so, but no, yeah, it is what it is. It's quite enjoyable actually, and it's a good way to keep yourself motivated if you make what you love instead of what needs to be done.
Exactly. I mean, it very much is your baby. You are the solo developer creator for the Falconeer. How is that for you? I mean, I imagine that's a lot of work, but how have you found it?
Pretty well. It is a lot of work, but I've been working that way for a long time, and there's the people you all are supporting me, and there's people helping with checking the writing. There's voice actors, Benedict Nichols, who's a fantastic musician and sound designer. So I'm hardly alone in this, so there's always people around it. So I say it's more like a solo album. Everybody realizes there are other people in the studio, but there's one guy, playing and singing and that stuff like that. But it's fun, it allows me to, which sounds strange in Corona, because everybody can regret that a little bit. We're all doing it, working from home, close to your kids, and do it at your own pace, the way you want to. So nobody's stopping me if I want to work at 3 at night and or sleep in till 12, which is actually quite a good deal, I'd say. So yeah, I did.
Yeah, no, that sounds good to me. I mean, you're working on your own schedule, which very much sounds nice. I'm sure most people would agree.
Yeah, it's and it's you're not. There's no. I don't like meetings, so there's no meetings. There's no management. There's nobody. There's literally no, nobody's telling me what to do in any sense. So you're just very free to make this game how you want it. I think that's fairly unique, that you have a game that is ambitious, but it's a very singular vision. It's like it's just me, and yeah.
That sounds like the dream. So let's talk about the Warrior Edition, the Falconeer Warrior Edition, which has now been announced. It's being announced into the world as of today. So what can we expect from the new Warrior Edition? What will be the new features and what's changing about the game, if anything? What is there to see? What should we be excited about?
Well, it comes in two parts. So, like always with me, nothing is set in stone or finished. So I've been tweaking a lot of things. So there's lots of. It comes with a beefy, let's say, an update that's available for everybody. Also on the other platforms like Xbox or PC or GOG, they're all getting a beefy update with an improved tutorials, really a load of new voiceovers for parts of the game that hadn't been voiced before, such as the bits from the Kraken or from Atoon's Folly. All those things have been voiced now. We've re-recorded some voices at a higher quality level. So it's actually nearly, I wouldn't say director's cut-ish, but there's a massive improvement in the voices. Now people, I think people will go, oh, that sounds a lot better, and it's a lot fuller in that way because a lot more stuff is voiced. Not everything, just like the traders and stuff, but
Yeah.
it's a lot more voicing. There's little add-ons, like spotlights that can on, or floodlights, right? When you're in battles, there's new diving mechanics. So whenever I do an update and there's enough time, some fairly basic mechanics can get improved. So that's definitely the case here. So that's one part everybody's getting, sort of, as the Warrior Edition. And then there's the new content that comes for the Warrior Edition for PlayStation and Switch, which is, I think we have 2 new classes in the game. So there's a Arbiter who rides a phoenix. So it's a bird with a tail, because the tails were working really well with our dragon, making for really smooth fly. So I've stuck a tail on a bird, and that's and a pteron, which is just a pterodactyl basically. So a giant pterodactyl to ride if you're a corsair, and a phoenix if you're an arbiter. So those are new classes. I think there's a new. I'm pretty sure that because it's done. There's a new weapon which is a shock lance, which is sort of a lazy weapon, because it's like chain lightning. So you hit one target and it goes all the other targets. You don't have to do anything. So one of those is there, and then there are 3. I don't know what the official term is. I call them mini campaigns.
Okay.
But there's actually a lot of more story content in this Warrior Edition. So there's a horror-based story, which is a bunch of missions. And then there's one where you go to the Mongrous provinces, which was a part of the world spoken about sort of in the base game, which you now get to visit, and it has its own little storyline. And there's a little sort of exploratory toward the early history of the Mancer Order as well. So these are in total, I believe, 9 missions, sort of like a smallish but decent sized chapter of the game, fully voiced, have their own set pieces. I like to say it's. I wanted to add a little bit more boss, some unique end pieces to battles, and so those are the focal points of the new content. So there's one with trains, and well, I won't spoil it too much because there's some surprises in there. Let me think. What else did we add? I always say we when I'm talking to you guys, but. For people that don't. I think that is the gist of it. There's new content, huge update, new weapons, new classes. I'll probably forget stuff, but
That's all right.
and that's all there in the Warrior Edition, and the new content. So those classes and the new story content is bundled into a DLC for PC and Xbox called Edge of the World.
Yeah.
So it's available for everybody, but just in different ways.
Yeah, of course. So it sounds like it's more world building to an extent, like you're fleshing out more in the Great Ursee for us to discover and us to explore.
Yeah, what I wanted to do was, just like you said, is just fleshing out parts, and but also adding some introduction to. So I imagine a lot of people at the stats bear this out, just take off and go exploring the world, and don't usually want to do the invasive campaign that has a really which has a fairly measured pace, and it's quite a lot of it. So what I want to do is, because the story is also told through the world, through temples and shrines you discover, and just the locations and the backstories. So I wanted to add these little quests, side quests that happen in the world, and you don't need to. They're not long or don't require a huge, how do you call it, investment in time. but they each provide a little look into that mythical past of the game, and they're both an introduction to what else you can find and some of the how do you call it, surprises and plot twists which are in the main storyline. Um, and they're also expansions for the people that already played the main storyline. They open up details which they've heard about but possibly never seen.
No, that sounds really cool, and it sounds like there's a lot to play, both for PC and Xbox users, but also for the people who are going to be new to the game from PlayStation and Nintendo Switch. So, talking about Nintendo Switch and PlayStation 4 and 5, what's it been like trying to bring the Falconeer to those consoles?
Oh, really cool. I think a lot of people assume it's a very I'm a very waited because the game was an Xbox launch title. But I have worked with PlayStation before and VR exclusive for PlayStation, so it felt good to be back on PlayStation as it were. And we had the most fun testing out the haptics, because everybody at all the QA people who test, everybody has an opinion on the haptic feedback
of
on,
course.
on the DualSense. So that was a lot of fun, just adding some feel to it, playing around what it could do and what its limitations are and what's comfortable. I think we're seeing people comment about when it makes too much sound or it's too intense, and that's so there's a little bit more learnings from the DualSense. I think it's called a DualSense, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
That's been added to the Falconeer. So I think it's fairly measured DualSense implementation. And it's really fun because it really does make it a lot more visceral, more
Yeah.
than just having force feedback or having no force feedback like you do on mouse and keyboard.
Yeah.
So I think that's been really enjoyable. I think doing that and Switch, of course. I think I'm quite proud of the Switch in that it does 60 FPS. Even in handheld mode, so or if you're on your Switch Lite, you get to play the game. There are, the effects are a little bit toned down, so there's no shadows and no reflections, but it still looks really good, and it runs at 60 FPS. So the core experience of having that smooth flying and smooth combat is completely translated to the Nintendo Switch, and it really fits that, the entire Switch experience so well. And it is a game that you can pick up and fly around. I really enjoy sitting it on Switch, so I'm really curious how people are going to feel it and how it's going to do on Switch.
What are you most excited for? Like, we're gonna have a whole group of new players playing the game. What are you most excited for people to sort of find out in the Falconeer?
Oh, that's a good question. I'm always excited to people play it and enjoy it and get some of the I enjoy it when it resonates on sort of the emotional level, that people really get into the world and get some of the the darker bits, the sadness or the loneliness. That's an emotive quality the game is intended to have, and it's certainly not for everybody, but for a lot of people that enjoy it, it sort of clicks. So that is super enjoyable to see, people pick it up and discover it's well, maybe even confusing at first, that it is so much more than an air combat game or a fantasy shooter. But once they connect with that, it becomes really worthwhile hearing about it. So that I'm really looking forward to have that massive, influx of a new, broader audience to try that out. That's exciting stuff. Yeah.
No, that sounds pretty exciting. I'm excited to see everyone's reactions to it. Is there anything else you would like to say about the Falconeer and about the Warrior Edition before we leave today? We've been chatting for a little while now, but is there anything you want people to know about the Falconeer Warrior Edition before we go?
I think that what I just said is the most important part, is for people to realize that it combines lots of things I love, but there's also a personal narrative about escape, and it's in the end, the game itself, the storyline is a tragedy, and that can be quite beautiful, I think. And I hope people dive in and then can see all the different parts gelling together and in its originality, I guess, and have fun with that, and take it at its own value, basically.
I'm sure they will. I'm sure everyone's going to have a fantastic time playing the Falconeer, both on Switch, on PlayStation 4 and 5, but also now with the new content on Xbox and PC. It's coming to everyone.
Yeah, this is it, right? Everybody gets
Everyone gets something. But thank you so much for chatting with us today. I think everyone now is informed about the Falconeer and what they need to know prior to it coming to the new consoles and for the Edge of the World DLC as well. So thank you. Thank you for joining us today, Thomas.
No problem.
Thank you. Thank you everyone so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, do not forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel. So I hope that gave you a good insight into what the Falconeer is and to what to expect from the Warrior Edition, regardless of which console you are going to play it on. From the mind and perspective of solo developer and creator Tomas Sala. Thank you so much for watching our video, and if you want to keep in touch with us, follow all of our social media links, which you can see up in the bar above, or they'll be in the description below. But for now, I will see you next time for the next episode of TLDR. Bye everyone!